So. Get that.
Still in Joshua or
Judges.
in Judges?
Yeah, we got started with it.
I guess we did.
Judge. I think we started Judges last week.
Yeah. That's number 4, I think.
Let's see.
Deborah Dale.
Let's see. Okay. What's going on? We're talking about jail. I think we're at about question 5, moving along to the time of Gideon. We could review his career, but I just used the question, in what ways did Gideon show courage? Sometimes we think of Gideon as the one who, yes, he led Israel over the Midianites, and yet sometimes we look at Gideon as the man who required a lot of assurance before he would act. And so maybe the question, does he have courage? Does he show courage?
Well, I was just looking at here, the first part of it, and it said that an angel of the Lord came down and sat under an oak. And oftentimes when a person encounters an angel, there's always a verse. The angel says, "Oh, don't be afraid," but that doesn't happen here. And then Gideon kind of I don't want to say he argues with the angel, but he talks to him and says, well, why is God doing this, and why are you picking me? How am I going to do anything? So I think that shows courage, that he would be willing to talk to the angel.
Oh, okay.
I assume we don't know what the angel looked like, but I would assume there was some
How did he
appearance
recognize
that Gideon would know that this was an angel.
That's an interesting view of courage. We're showing courage maybe when we argue with God, if we do that thing, I guess, in a sense. The angel showed him a sign and letting the food get on fire, as I recall. But his response, I'm the least in my family, and my family is the least. The words similar to those that we heard from Moses earlier on, and others. Anyway, after he receives that first sign, what does he do? We're in Judges chapter 6. In verse 17, we start reading about the angel of the Lord. And he says, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me, verse 17. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. And it's interesting, sometimes we think of it, we're going to serve. We go to the kitchen and get it. But these guys, when they were going to serve a meal, what do they have to do?
Go kill the animal.
Yeah, and they get to round up the animal, put him to death, drain the blood, cook cut off some steaks or whatever it happened to be. So, that's going to be a little while. Anyway, Gideon went in, prepared a young goat, and from an ephah of flour, he made bread without yeast. So, putting the meat in a basket and its broth in a pot, he brought them out and offered them under the oak. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Take the meat and the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour out the broth." And Gideon did so. With the tip of the staff that was in his hand, the angel of the Lord touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread. And the angel of the Lord disappeared. And he said, "I've seen the angel of the Lord somehow. He's been taught about that there is a Lord and that he has angels." It's interesting that he knows that. But the Lord said to him, "Peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die." How does he say that to him? The angel has disappeared. We're not told that. Was it just a voice out of the blue or an inner voice? Interesting. Anyway, he built an altar to the Lord. And what does he do next?
He cut down one of the things
Yeah.
that the people had put up to worship one of the gods of that area. People had set up.
Was he told to do that?
Well, he says he did it at night, so I don't know.
Okay.
That showed a lot of courage.
But he did it. That's right.
Yeah.
He gets kind of a group together and at night knocks down the altar of Baal. And so that shows some courage, even though we'd say he was kind of a hesitant follower of God, as some of us are. He does it at night, but he gets well, the Lord said to him to do this, build a proper kind of altar. So he gets 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. In a sense, that's the definition of courage, isn't it? Do what the Lord tells you. Just do what the Lord tells you. Sometimes some people are not going to like it, but that's, if we just obey, that's what God wants from us. So anyway, that's an act of courage. And they want to turn Gideon over and for doing that. But his father says, let Baal worry about himself. Anyway, then at verse 33, now the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Jezreel. Wonder what's going on. How did they do that just because Gideon knocked down that altar? We're not told. But was this right away? It says now. But anyway, that is something else that we'd like to know a little bit more about. But anyway, they called the tribes. The Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites, his family group. He sent messengers throughout Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also into Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali. He's assumed a leadership that we didn't see before. He's the one who's summoning the tribes. So that took courage too. But it's in obedience to the Lord's command. He says, you're supposed to lead Israel. We don't know if he got a lot of detailed commands or if he just thought, hey, here's an opportunity. It's an interesting, we like to know more about that. But Gideon said, if you will save Israel by my hand, as you have promised, he wants a couple of signs. I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said. And that is what happened. Gideon rose early the next day. He squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. But he wants another sign. Seems like he's pushing maybe too much, I don't know. But God seems to accept this. Do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece. This time make the fleece dry on the ground, covered with dew. And that night God did so. So anyway, he's a man that seems to need encouragement. And then chapter 7 is the battle. I wonder what he thought when his original army of 32,000, first of all, he's instructed to send them home if they're afraid, and 22,000 go. Then he's left with 10,000, and through how they draw water from the brook, how they drink, it's reduced to 300. I wonder what he thought about that. Anyway,
I'm worried, you know, gonna be left.
you would think so.
Yeah.
But again, he gets a sign, right? He and his servant go down and hear that in the Midianite camp, they're talking about this. And they seem to feel that Gideon is going to be successful. So this can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Joash the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hand. Who are the Midianites, by the way? We didn't ask that to begin with. They're a tribe that was living there in the general vicinity in the Sinai Peninsula.
Midian's mother, Keturah.
Yes, Midian is a son of Abraham by his concubine or second wife, Keturah, after Sarah died. Anyway, but they've got a lot of people there. How many? Now Gideon, he started with 32,000. How many Midianites are there? Well, later we'll find that there 120,000 are killed. And then there's some left. So the odds are more than 4-1 against. But God is still worried that if Gideon had prevailed with the 32,000, they would just say, well, the Israelites were better soldiers. So he wants it reduced so it's clear that it's the Lord and not necessarily their valor or ability as soldiers. But to me, the key to Gideon's career and the key is, where do we Gideon in verse 17. Gideon is back with his 300 men surrounding the Israelite camp, and he says, watch me, follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp, blow yours and shout for the Lord and God and for Gideon. And so Gideon blows his trumpet. They blew their trumpet. That's, to me, that's courage when you say, do what I do. Most of us are more likely to say, do what God teaches. Don't necessarily do what I do, because I'm not going to set a good example all the time. So it takes a lot of courage to say, do what I do. and then to blow that trumpet. And, the Bible says they blew their trumpets, but somebody had to go first, and it was Gideon. And when he blew that trumpet and opened up his torch, he wasn't sure that anybody would do it. He may have had a lot of confidence. Yeah, we're right behind you, Gideon. But you can't know for sure
That's
that anybody's gonna
Did it on
follow.
a solo, huh?
Yeah.
It could be. So that is an act of courage, isn't it? When we act by ourselves, without the assurance anybody's gonna follow. It's in our society, as Patrick was talking about, when you may do something, maybe people aren't gonna, nobody's gonna notice if you try to do something for Jesus. If you see the street preachers sometimes in downtown Chicago, maybe other cities too, and people just walking by, ignoring them. They're trying to do something, to say something. I remember once we had a fella here who believed in passing out tracts a few years ago. And so he was going to convert the city by passing out tracts.
Yeah.
And so we were happy to help him on occasions. And I remember we were passing out tracts by the IC station downtown, where people were rushing after work to get to the train station, get on and go home. And we're there, take a tract, and you never can feel quite as lonely as you do when they don't even see you.
Well, they purposely ignore you.
They
When
purposely.
they see you handing out a
yeah.
tract or something they don't want.
Yeah,
I've seen that with these street preachers.
yeah.
People up there on their soapbox preaching away, and they're just going right past them, and they don't want to stop. And listen, now, a few people will, but most people are in a big hurry to get going, right past them.
It's
One of
kind
my
of,
brothers still does it, Charles. He still does street preaching and tracks, but he honed it down to people at the bus stop. So they're not rushing. He would pass, and then he'd be able to talk to them. And he used to also do ride the L's at night to wake people up, because people would get robbed. People would get robbed on the train.
yeah,
And he would wake people up so they wouldn't get robbed and talk to them about Christ. He almost got cut a couple times.
Wow.
yeah.
Those burg robbers don't like him doing that.
That's a dangerous.
So yeah, it was a dangerous thing, but he trusted God. And he still does some street ministries
Wow.
with tracks. And just in that area though, but not people rushing, people at the bus stop.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So
But you talk about if you want to reach the down and out people, that's the place, right? The subway at night, because they're going back and forth. Anyway, I just thought of those kind of occasions when we think about Gideon. We think of him with the 300 guys and the strange thing blowing the trumpet with the pitchers over the torches and so on. But when he says, "Follow me and do what I do,"
You're right, took a chance,
he
Went out on a limb, we would say.
did.
Went out on a
He
limb.
did.
It amazes me
Well,
that
with-
so many
For God.
from those tribes came forth. They must have felt really oppressed or something.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else says that? Do as I do.
Well, Paul did, we talked
Yeah.
about that, he was good at that. He set a good enough example, he felt
Yeah.
confident, he could say that, even though he admitted he wasn't perfect. So that there's a fine line there, I'm not perfect, but follow me,
Yeah,
but he's gotta be a righteousness enough to say that. And he could, and I think he did accurately.
in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1, actually the verse is more tied to the previous chapter, but he says, "Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ."
Right, that's what I'm talking
So, again,
Hopefully, we all get to that point where we can say that to our
Yeah,
friends, family,
that's right.
coworkers, neighbors, whatever.
Follow me.
It should be able to get
as
to
I
that
do.
point.
Anyway, that's one of the lessons of Gideon. We can talk about him, but next, who was the first king in Israel?
Oh,
Well,
well, I guess technically there was another one.
that's right.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, but he doesn't get any recognition.
No,
You might as well say Saul.
it's kind of a trivial question, but
Yeah,
the son of Gideon, whose name was Abimelech.
Oh, yeah.
There's some other Abimelechs in the scriptures,
he doesn't get
but
credit.
his son kills all the other sons. Gideon had 70 sons, which is kind of an unusual
Not in his
situation.
own tribe.
And,
Tribe of Gideon.
Abimelech arises and has almost all of them killed except for one, and kind of takes over. And he's anointed as king of Shechem, it's told, not the whole of Israel, because as far as we know, this is a local struggle. But anyway, technically, you could say he was the first king, not of Israel.
But he wasn't anointed.
He was anointed not by God, but by the people of Shechem.
Well, it's not like
Right.
Samuel went to anoint Saul, right? That's much more official.
That's why I said, who was the first king, not of Israel, but in Israel?
See, that's why I knew it was a trick. Everybody knows. I would say Saul, but I said, oh.
Anyway, is that a reflection on Gideon? He didn't necessarily run his family life perhaps as well as he could have. I guess that was the reward of victory in battle, that you had got a lot of wives out of the deal. So, but anyway, I mentioned Abimelech comes to a sorry end as a lady dumps a millstone down from a tower on his head, and he says, "I'm dying," to his armor bearer, "Run me through, lest I be known as one who was killed by a woman." So anyway,
It's so humiliating.
kind of a sorry story,
Deserved, huh?
one that you'd rather not know. And
Yeah.
it's about when you'd rather hold up Gideon for his good points, but the scriptures are truthful and reveal weaknesses as well as
So he had
strengths.
70 sons, and then the story, and his concubine bore him the son of Abimelech. Was he a different status maybe than the 70?
Yeah, perhaps he was. That's a good point.
He felt put down all the time.
Yeah, well, we don't know how many wives, how many
legitimate-
concubines Gideon had.
Boy.
But kind of a sorry situation. But Judges, in a sense, is filled with stories of great courage and victory, but then they'll talk about something that's less savory, if you will. And that's the way the land was going, in a sense, not godly, as it should. You would have hoped that for generations, they would have honored Gideon by doing the will of God. But
Well, he is honored. He's in the Bible. I mean, here we
yes,
are 20 centuries later. We're still honoring him, right? In
yeah,
a way, by appreciating his story and learning from it. So God honors people through the Bible, I think. Well,
and in the
serving
chapter on faith, the Hebrews 11, he doesn't have time to mention Gideon, his name, one of those three that's named in that place. So, he's not perfect, but God doesn't have any perfect people to use. So, anyway,
I don't think we can read about one perfect person in the Bible other than Jesus.
Jesus.
So he's always working through imperfect people. Start with Abraham and others, you know.
That's right.
Guy was an idolater to start with, you know, and he became the father of faith. That's the story of the Bible in a lot of ways.
Sometimes we think of parables as something unique to Jesus, but they're not. In fact, we read what many people identify as the first parable in the scriptures in Judges, right around this era, this time. What's the first, what Old Testament parable can be found in the book of Judges is our official question. And it's here in the story of Abimelech. One, Abimelech tries to destroy the other sons of Gideon, lest they might, be a challenge to him. But one of them escapes, and his name is Jotham. And then when they're about to make Abimelech king, he tells the parable of the trees, whatever, plants. The trees went out to anoint a king. They said to the olive tree, this is Judges chapter 9, verses 8, 9, 5. But the olive tree answered, should I give up my oil by which both gods and men are honored to hold sway over the trees? Next, the trees said to the fig tree, come and be our king. But the fig tree replied, should I give up my fruit so good and sweet to hold sway over the trees? Then the trees said to the vine, come and be our king. But the vine answered, should I give up my wine, which cheers both gods and men, to hold sway over the trees? Interesting way to put it there. Anyway, finally, all the trees said to the thorn bush, or the bramble, some versions say, come and be our king. The thorn bush said to the trees, if you really want to anoint me king over you, come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, then let fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon. Kind of an odd parable. What's the point?
Are they gonna trust the thorn for their shade,
Yeah.
or what's the thorn gonna do?
Yeah.
That's to me, that's what I see.
Yeah, and that's what the point is. You're taking a big chance by anointing Abimelech because he's going to let you down. He's going to oppress you and get you in all kinds of trouble.
And help the people priorities.
Yeah, yeah. Should the fig tree and the vine and the olive tree, should they have accepted the responsibility? I don't know. I thought I'd just ask.
They were given opportunity. I don't know if we should have.
Yeah.
Every opportunity coming our way.
That's been said of those who are our political leaders from time to time. It's people who can't get any other kind of job, so they go out and go into politics. Some are genuinely anxious to serve, but there are others who are maybe in it for what they can get out of it.
What about this premise that they should have a king period at this point? I mean,
Well, this appears to be a kind of a local situation. They're not, again, he's king of Shechem and maybe surrounding suburbs and so on, but not king of Israel, not even king of the tribe there. Yeah, you can't say he's king. He's a king in Israel. They're copying again their Canaanite people. Anyway, it's a parable, and the bottom line is be careful who you trust to be your leader. I guess this is one of the points, because this thorn bush is quite a thing. If not, then let fire come out of the thorn bush and consume the cedars of Lebanon. Examples of proud and good trees. Anyway.
Well, it's good that they know the character of your leader.
They what?
You should know The character.
Know the character, okay, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Know the character,
because I'm thinking about,
yeah,
you got somebody in all.
yeah.
Which one? Just tell. It's a bunch of them.
Anyway, if you've lived in Chicago for a while, you know some examples of people that perhaps were not of good character, who were
Right.
in positions of leadership. But anyway, I guess that happens.
Those
all
the ones
over.
that want it, you gotta be wary. If anybody wants it,
Yeah,
what they,
Yeah, that's
what are
right.
they up to?
Yeah, our Speaker of the House just reported to prison this week,
Who? Oh, yeah,
Madigan,
oh, yeah,
Mr. Madigan.
7 years.
yeah. That was long.
And he's 83.
Well,
You know,
They'll
he probably
cut it
thought
down.
he would not catch up to him.
He could die in prison.
Representative in US House.
There you go, a perfect example.
Probably.
Finally got him.
He was in the
Shenanigans,
Illinois
And then
House.
taking money from ComEd to make a deal.
Taking
That was the
consideration
last thing, but
that-
they only one of many.
Anyway,
So many people got
Then
why,
federal
got the job, they did what he said.
You got the TV, you got your good meals, the whole.
You
be
been there?
careful who you trust.
Just saying.
Chicago, they sent me out somewhere in another state. One of the best problems.
Nobody thinks it wasn't founded, you know, everybody suspected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just took a long time to prove.
Yeah. In this, one of the other lessons, not necessarily in this, is power corrupts.
Mm,
And absolute power corrupts. Absolutely is the correlate
yeah.
to that. You really have to be strong to avoid the temptations
Yeah.
of power and influence.
Yeah, strong in humility, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you feel you're strong, that you're already messed up. I just wanna say this one aside thing, what the judge said to Madigan. He said, you came from a good family. You did not have to go this way, you know? So, and I always thought of that because he just went there because it was something to do, powerful, the power.
Yeah,
Enriched him. I mean,
Yeah, but he already had, his family had money. He wasn't poor, broke and all that. And that's what the judge was telling him, you don't have to do this.
It was like a game. How
I
many
think so.
millions of dollars can he put in his bank account? He's worth millions and millions.
But he didn't need it. What do you do with
It's
that?
just a game,
Yeah.
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 like,
Anyway,
these games kids play.
oh boy, we're going slow. That's all right. Oh,
How long do you think Abimelech was in that role? Can you tell?
not a long time.
No.
Let's see. Jotham fled. I wonder what happened to him. We'd like to.
After he preached, yeah.
After Abimelech had governed Israel 3 years, verse 22, chapter 9, 22, God sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem. They raised up another guy, and there was this. So, yeah, you wonder how that God is working to overcome the pride of Abimelech, and ultimately that works out. It was just a short
Mhm.
reign, if you will. But you know, they had an evil spirit between the king and those who were governed. Sometimes that happens. Anyway. The next judge in order is Tola. After the time of Abimelech, a man of Issachar, Tola, son of Puah, the son of Dodo, rose to save Israel. He lived in Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. He led Israel 23 years, then he died and was buried in Shamir. He was followed by Jair of Gilead. So this is, the hill country of Ephraim is just on the west side of the Jordan, kind of north of Jerusalem. Ephraim didn't get a large territory. They got a kind of a slice of it. Gilead is the son of Manasseh and is really the half tribe of Manasseh, lived to the east of the Jordan and in a large territory called Gilead. Anyway, we don't know any more about Tola. We'd like to. He was followed by Jair of Gilead, as we're talking about again, who led Israel 22 years. He had 30 sons who rode 30 donkeys. Some of these judges have a lot of sons. They controlled 30 towns in Gilead, which to this day are called Havoth Jair. When Jair died, he was buried in Canaan over there. So that is the what now is known as the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, whereas the hill country of Ephraim is now known as the West Bank and is subject to controversy should Israel occupy the left bank, which they did not occupy until the 1967 war. But anyway, we're almost done. So next,
Good job.
next is a fellow called Jephthah. Again, the Israelites we like, some people say, well, these are just local judges, but it keeps using that word after he was followed, as if they are somewhat chronological. So I don't know, some people think, well, there's one judge over here and another judge over here at the same time, but they usually use that word after.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's necessarily to mean time or not, that's why in our list of judges that we passed out, it's tough to identify exactly what year this might have been. But at Jephthah, after the Israelites did evil, they served the Baals and the Ashtaroths and the gods of Aram, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Ammonites, and the gods of the Philistines. That's all over Israel. Sidon is up in Lebanon. Philistia is down in the Gaza Strip, what we know today as the Gala Strip. The Moabites are over by the Dead Sea. The Ammonites are just north, also on the east bank of the Jordan. So they're all over the place. They're serving idols. Because the Israelites forsook the Lord and no longer served him, he became angry with them. He sold them into the hands of the Philistines and the Ammonites, who that year shattered and crushed them. For 18 years, they oppressed all the Israelites on the east side of the Jordan, in Gilead, the land of the Amorites. The Ammonites also crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, the east bank. Anyway, who are all these people? Who are the Philistines?
Enemies. Israel,
Yeah.
arch enemies.
Enemies. They've got the reputation over the years as a Philistine is an uncultured person. That's the way they've been used in literature for a while. But who were they?
Sons of Ham.
Yes. They were, but then the Moabites were descendants of Lot, Abraham's nephew. The Ammonites are descendants of Lot through his son by his daughter. Moab was the first. The other son was named Ben-Ami. Anyway, who else is in here? The Amorites. The old translations call them the Syrians, but they thought, well, maybe that's confusing with the Assyrians.
So the Ammonites were, or are the Assyrians?
Are what?
Are
Assyria?
the Assyrians?
No, they're not.
No, they're all separate, but they sound alike.
No, there's Assyrians and Syrians.
Right.
The Ammonites, as you just said, were Assyrians.
No,
No,
that's
that's not-
Syrians. They're,
The Ammonites were Syrians?
yes.
No.
Yes. I can't guarantee they're the same as the Syrians of today,
Well,
but,
yeah, some of them are.
I think some of them are, yeah.
A long time ago, so.
But anyway,
Yeah, certain ethnicities carry their bloodline for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
there's some Persians,
yeah.
you find them, they're pretty pure blood.
Anyway, the modern versions, instead of using the word Syrians, say Amorites.
Ah,
But that just makes them confused with the
Yeah,
Ammonites.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who's Amor? Amor.
they definitely don't like each other here in Chicago.
Mhm.
Anyway, old tribes, but
If
it's
you call,
interesting.
if you call, Assyrian, they give you a mean face.
No, good, get it mixed up. Don't
That,
get it mixed up. Yeah.
I don't know, I bought the car off of a Syrian,
oh, did you?
and I said, oh, you're a Syrian, I got friends that are Syrian. They're like,
We're not selling to you.
yeah. Pretty much.
Anyway, the story gets to Jephthah, kind of a fellow, and we'll get to him next time. What do you think of Jephthah?
It was regret, just terrible regret, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that it leads up to a question: did he sacrifice his daughter?
Yeah, he didn't know.
But
He's a rash, foolish man.
Yeah.
a rash and foolish, and yet he's chosen by God to lead Israel in rebellion over those who are oppressing them.
He must not have had too many people to choose from, that's all I can think.
Well,
If that's the best he could do.
that's a good point. You know, in this time, there's not that many who are faithful. But as always, God uses imperfect people. As we're imperfect, God can use us to accomplish his will. Anyway, we'll get to more about Jephthah next time. Thank you for your comments and the support. Next time is in 2 weeks, because next week we have a Korean meal, a Korean celebration
At
So-
11:00.
at 11 o'clock, not 9:30. So,
Yeah, at 9:30, you'll be sitting out in the parking lot.
Oh.
You'll be with see out there.
Never
Hope
started
you
about
like-
that.
Yeah.